The folks over at the New York Knicks channel here at Chat Sports says that Celtics today can't even get 500 likes on their video. That is a bunch of yabbo. I know we absolutely can. We'll defeat him on the court this season, and we'll defeat him right now in this like battle. So if you want to prove Marshall Green, the Knicks channel, wrong, go on ahead, hit that thumbs up button for me. What's going on, Celtics fans? Welcome into Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Allie Barefoot, and we're going to check in on the main man, Lonnie Walker, to see how he's progressing in Celtics training camp and if he's actually making ways to getting a standard guaranteed deal with the Celtics 15-man roster, because you got to keep in mind here, Lonnie Walker is not guaranteed anything right now, except for maybe some cash if he plays with the Maine Celtics. But Lonnie Walker's been playing in the NBA for several years. I don't know if he'd want to go back to the G League, but we're going to break down what Lonnie Walker has to say. So just to refresh and get you guys up to speed, because I know a lot of us are 50% brain NFL, 50% brain on NBA season coming up here. So Lonnie Walker is on an Exhibit 10 deal. He has 10 days to work out with the Boston Celtics in training camp and make a name for himself. But you have to keep in mind that it's either three options that could happen for Lonnie Walker, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But the fact that all two-way contracts are filled means that Lonnie Walker cannot halfway play for Maine and halfway play for the Boston's regular season this year. But he's also fighting for that final roster spot. So let's talk about what the three options are for Lonnie Walker. He's 25 years old. He can either play for the Maine Celtics, which is our G League affiliate, the Boston Celtics if he makes a 15-man roster, or he has to be waived. Why? Because it's too much money, they don't have the opportunities for him right now, or maybe he just doesn't want to play for Boston. But everything that I'm gauging right now from the Boston Celtics training camp is showing me that Lonnie Walker is 110% enthused to be there. He is engaged. He wants to play for Boston. But don't take it from me. Take it from the man of the hour. Let's hear what Lonnie Walker has to say about this opportunity. And I love how humble he has been throughout this entire process. He said, I got to earn it. Being on an E10, it's not guaranteed. I'm not coming in here with a mindset of, okay, I'm on an E10, and afterward, I'm going to get the guaranteed contract. It's like, yo, I got to work my tail off. I really have to, each and every day. Put it all on the court. First one in the gym, hopefully the last one out. He also mentioned, he is Brad Stevens, there is a possibility that I might spend some time in the G League with Maine. And honestly, I'm perfectly fine with that. You got to take it on the chin. You got to continue to work. You got to continue to be prepared and just keep being ready. How can you not love Lonnie Walker? If you're a young kid watching this channel, one, I'm sorry I say the F word sometimes, and two, take notes on what Lonnie Walker is doing right now. He is realizing there are things that are bigger than him right now, and he's just trying to play basketball. So what do you think should happen with Lonnie Walker? And I'm going to break down my thoughts here in just a moment. Should he play for Maine for a little while? Type G for G League. If you think he should make it to the 15-man roster for the Boston Celtics, type C. Or type W if you don't think Lonnie Walker belongs in Boston. Take your time, figure this out. You're actually going to be hit with a YouTube ad break. So I'm going to pin this comment under this video. Comment under the pinned comment and let me know what you guys think and enjoy this ad break, and then we'll break it down. So why hasn't Lonnie Walker really solidified himself in the Boston Celtics uniform? Well, there's a lot that goes into it. But let's talk about how he could still be in the Boston Celtics franchise, right? He could play in Maine for a little while. And he said he's fine with that. And that's just a guy that wants to be better. That's a guy that wants to play ball, because I think he's a lot better than anybody in the G League. And you guys would agree as well. But here's why Walker may or may not consider playing with the Maine team instead of just going back out into the free agency market, because that didn't really work out very well from him in the beginning. If Walker doesn't make the 15-man roster, he would earn an additional $77.5 thousand if he spends 60 days with Maine. Lonnie Walker has always been a role player in the NBA, so he hasn't really tacked on a lot of dollars to his salary so far, so that doesn't sound like a bad deal to me. Especially 60 days, it's not too long. You could maybe figure yourself out with Maine, stay with the Boston Celtics franchise, and if they want to add you on, they'll sign you to the active roster. But why hasn't it happened yet? If Lonnie Walker is this great secret ingredient, why doesn't Brad Stevens, the brain of all brains, who signed Kristaps Porzingis, he signed Jrue Holiday, and you know that he loves players that pop off when playing his team, the Celtics, which Lonnie Walker has done in the past, why not sign him to a guaranteed deal? Lonnie Walker weighs in, and he goes, I wish I had a clear-cut answer for that as to why I didn't get a guaranteed deal. But it's just the way the cards fall. Once again, a humble king. You love it. As a man, good, bad, or ugly, you got to accept what fate is given and continue to push. I'm not going to stop or put my head down because I'm not given what I expected. Lonnie Walker, we do not deserve you. The way that he is just being so humble about this whole experience is making me want him on the Boston Celtics 15-man roster more and more each day. But I really wanted to dive deep here on the second half of the show and really ask that question as to why isn't he on a guaranteed deal right now? Brad Stevens is a genius. Lonnie Walker's a good ball player, so what's the holdup? Well, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Let me tell you guys about our sponsor here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. Let me tell you guys about Factor. Factor is a no-mess, no-prep meal service delivered right to your door, and it provides you with nutritious meals to make you, your husband, your wife, your daughter, your son, anybody in your family happy to have dinner. But it's not just dinner. They make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert, staying fueled with easy, nutritious options, and you get to treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, blackened salmon. All you guys have to do is keep kitchen time to a minimum, and you get to eat your meal in just 2 minutes. It's never frozen, always fresh, and they're chef-crafted meals. If you guys want to get started, head to factormeals.com/chatsports50. Use code chatsports50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code chatsports50 at factormeals.com/chatsports50 and get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is still active. So why is Lonnie Walker on an E10 and not a guaranteed deal? Number one, there's not enough money. We know the Boston Celtics just historically put a massive amount of money into their starting 5, 6th, 7th, 8th player on the roster right now for the next 4 or 5 years. Somebody's got to pay for that. But the Celtics franchise are really locking in on the Tatums and the Browns, on the Porzingises, on the Whites, Pritchards, and Hausers. So it doesn't make a lot of room for people like Walker to come in and make a good living. It would cost Boston nearly $10 million in tax penalties to put somebody like Lonnie Walker on the roster. And it is kind of crazy because he wouldn't even be making, I think this would probably be like the 10th highest contract on the team. $2.6 million is what Lonnie Walker would be making with a 1-year deal. So it's not like he's out here asking for $30 million like Gordon Hayward. It's the unfortunate fact that Brad Stevens has invested in several players and he's now already facing several penalties, and it's causing a lot of drama in regards to how the Boston Celtics franchise is going to sell from Whit Gruspek in his family. So you really have to look at the logistics and the pay of it all. But number two, the roster flexibility. We knew that Brad Stevens kept a roster spot open all the way until April of last season, and then he eventually gave it to a two-way player, and that player was Neemias Queta. But like I said in the beginning of this video, the two-way contracts are completely full. So he either has to play for Maine or play for Boston. There's no in between. And they're already down one player with Kristaps Porzingis. And that has allowed Brad Stevens to look at that open roster spot and say, hey, that looks pretty beautiful to me. If anybody else gets injured, we've got a little bit of room to work with. But then we found out at Media Day that we already had Luke Cornett and Xavier Tillman who had off-season surgeries that nobody talked about. That is your depth chart in the center position. You now have Porzingis out for 2 months, Horford 38, Luke Cornett wrist surgery. You got Xavier Tillman, a scope in his knee. What happens if another player goes down? You want that flexibility. So Brad may not want to fill that final roster spot just yet. And what they can do is they can put him in Maine for 60 days, 80 days, whatever. And then when they decide that they're okay at a point, Brad Stevens can call him up and sign him to a guaranteed contract whenever he sees fit. But here's the other thing, and I worded this kind of weird. This is not what I mean, but he needs to prove his worth on the Celtics team, not in life, because that would just be really harsh. But now that we've got that out of the way, he needs to prove that he can be an asset on the Boston Celtics squad that looks pretty damn good to me in and out, on the bench, in the starting five, on defense, and on offense. But the good thing about Lonnie Walker is that he doesn't just talk. He actually puts actions to his words. He has been the last player at practice every day. And what's even better, he's been doing it with a smile on his face, draining threes, really harping on his offensive execution, but also saying, look, if I'm going to make any type of movement to getting minutes in this ball game, it's going to be on defense. So he's been working with the staff. He's been working with the players. And it seems like he's just been really grateful for this opportunity. And why wouldn't he be? We're the best team in the NBA. You're surrounded by a bunch of great guys who are future Hall of Famers. It looks like Walker is just very humble to be in this situation right now. So that's why I do hope that everything does end up working out for Lonnie Walker. And let's just hear from another player, right? Because Holiday worked out with Lonnie Walker in the offseason and Derek White. And Holiday has loved having his friend at training camp with him, saying he has the ability to do a lot of things. He's very athletic. He can score. Being on a team like this, we can utilize his skills. Who wouldn't want a player like him? Very positive person. You see him. He's always smiling. Very, very grateful dude. Holiday, I mean, if Holiday is saying, why wouldn't you want this player? It seems like everybody is probably thinking that. So, Brad Stevens, what are you waiting for, my man? Well, we're going to have to wait and see till the end of training camp. Should the Celtics sign Lonnie Walker? Let me know in the comment section down below. Type Y for yes, type in for no. If you guys like it, put it in the comment section. As always, hit that like button for me. If you hate the Knicks, like this video.